on time. 10 minutes was supposed to be the introduction, and that works very well so far. So let me just please proceed with next steps going towards our presentation. So today, during my panel, how to land your first remote job, we are going to talk about remote readiness, what it means to even be remote ready, okay? What opportunities there are for you, whether it's full-time, whether it's being a contractor, whether it's being a freelancer, what is it even, okay? And then the next part is going to be how to prepare your professional profile, your resume, your CV for remote work. How should you approach it? What should you do? Then we are going to move on to the next topic, which is where to start looking for remote work, okay? Because we know it's there, but how to approach it, where to start looking, where are the possibilities if you haven't found them yet, if you haven't identified them yet. And the last one, what is the right approach? The right approach, I can give you a heads up and a hint already, never give up, okay? That's going to be the right approach in a nutshell, but let's move on. My part is going to take approximately 40 minutes. So according to our agenda, in exactly 40 minutes, the university will take over. And again, please keep asking questions if only you have any. So, remote readiness. What is remote readiness? Remote readiness means that you have to be sure yourself whether you're remote ready. Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about it because so many people today say that they want to start working remotely. And I keep observing social media, and people also reach out to me and they say, hey, I really would like to have a remote job. Can you help me? Or I see these posts all over social media. Hey guys, I'm looking for a remote job. Please let me know where I can work. So people like me who also worked for a really long time in the recruitment headhunting industry would really love to help, but they can't help you because we don't know anything about what you're looking for. So it was like this a couple of years ago that remote wasn't really treated seriously. I remember when I started years ago, I did it because I got this opportunity in California, but then I thought, okay, it's just for the time being because remote is not serious. I have to find a serious job, which was a big mistake in my thinking that I see today. And I collaborate with that institution until this day, which I absolutely adore. So you have to ask yourself the question in the very beginning, what are you looking for? Don't just look for a remote job because I want to work remotely. You have to be remote ready, meaning you have to have the awareness of what you are actually looking for, okay? Are you looking for something very stable, okay? Are you willing to look for companies that are remote first, that hire people all around the world? Do you have language skills that you're willing to apply, okay? Or do you just speak one language? So that means that probably you will be limited to the opportunities in your country only, okay? Unless you have amazing English skills and you can join. Is it freelancing that you're looking for? So if you are a student or if you've just graduated or if you've never worked remotely, I always encourage everybody to start doing a bit of freelancing in the beginning to see what it's like, because you see, remote work is not this way that you just lock up everybody at home, okay? And you say, I'm going to stay home and I'm just going to keep working. No, remote work is the possibility to work from anywhere in the world with everybody in the world, okay? And that's wonderful. So I would strongly encourage you to see what it's like to have this feeling of what it means to work remotely by maybe trying to find a freelance gig first to see how it is when you have to deliver results, how you communicate, how to structure everything. I will tell you afterwards where you can find such opportunities. Is it maybe a full-time position that you're looking for? Maybe. There are so many companies right now. There's the whole remote community that has remote first companies, and there are honestly hundreds of them. So they only hire remotely and they hire full-time. So I will also tell you where you can find such opportunities. It can be a part-time job. It can be a side job as well, not a freelance gig, but something that you do regularly for one certain company that you cooperate with. Okay, maybe if you are a student, maybe if you do other things and you want to try working remotely on the side, but you really need something stable, there are part-time opportunities available, obviously. And the last and really important thing is, what are your skills? What can you do? Because remote is about a skill, okay? It's about skills that you have. How can you, in other words, being very frank with you, monetize the skills that you have? So if you are a student, you're going to have different skills. If you are a graduate, you're going to have different skills. If you're somebody with experience, you are going to have different skills. Please don't look like this, that's the direction I want to go, but think about it, which skills you have, how you can possibly contribute to a company, to a potential employer, to somebody that you work with. Why should they choose you? Okay, what can you do? For example, I will give you my example, so that it's a bit easier for you to imagine. Obviously, I am the founder of remoteworkadvocate.com, and I work with companies in terms of remote work implementation, but I also work with people like you, helping them to land their first remote job and thrive in the remote world. But how did I start? I was actually trained years ago. I will share my story really quickly. I was trained years ago to be a lawyer. I graduated from law school. I did my whole law training, and I was admitted to the bar exam, and I almost took it. But then I thought, well, that's not really what I am looking for in life. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew what I didn't want to do. And I thought, probably I'm a bit more open and I just don't want to be a lawyer. It's just not my thing. So I thought, okay, so what can I do? Because of the fact that I spoke different languages at that time, I'm from different countries, I was raised in different countries. I thought that maybe my first remote job is going to be somehow with languages. Since it's not going to be law, what am I going to do? And at that time, I was 18 years old. And I thought, okay, so I will start working with companies potentially that need my help with language skills. So I started to be a translator. I started to be an interpreter. I started helping people with different, organizing different conferences, traveling as well. Everything that I could possibly do that gave me pleasure, and I was able to monetize my skill. So if you are a student, but there's something that you're great at, maybe you're great with graphic design, or you really like it. Maybe you really like coordinating social media. Maybe it's a hard skill. Maybe it's maths. Maybe it's something else. Okay, think about it. Do some research online and see how your skill may be applicable to a certain gig, to a certain job, to a certain position. Start to kind of imagining your direction, where you can go, where you potentially can go, and then possibilities open up. Okay, the more out of the box you think, the better for you it's going to be. Okay, so oops, I am so sorry. So where should you start your job search? Basically everywhere. Okay, so here you see the whole world, and I marked with green where you can work remotely. Okay, again, remotely doesn't mean that you're just going to be with a certain company, with a certain corporation, and now because of COVID they told you, okay, you can work from home today, and you say, I am a remote worker. You're not a remote worker. I'm sorry, but you're not, if that's happening, because working from home is one of the angles of remote work. So if you work remotely, you may be based in Africa and you may be working with a company from Canada. You may be based in Australia. You may be working with a company from Brazil. And that happens a lot. I strongly encourage you, if you haven't done so yet, to really get inspired and to see what possibilities there are to join the remote community. So all around social media, you can find it. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on LinkedIn. You can find it on Twitter. You can find profiles on Instagram about not only remote first companies and remote companies, but communities and groups, especially Facebook groups, where people like you may be on the lookout for something, but also people who already do it share their experiences, where companies share their possibilities. And then you can really see what there is for you. Maybe you can become an advisor. Maybe you can deliver some results, like, for example, when it comes to, as I said, graphic design, maybe language services, maybe copywriting, maybe IT, anything you can pretty much imagine. Before 2020, remote work was reserved for I would say a certain number of positions, meaning not everybody works remotely. It's not possible. I have to tell you that the most reluctant was the banking sector. I remember I was meeting many companies from the banking sector and they said, no, remote work, okay, it's really interesting. They really wanted to talk about it, but then they said, but because of data security, we are a bit reluctant to that. We have our processes, procedures. We allow our people to work from home occasionally, but anyway, still kind of a bit controversial. So they were willing to, but it was more reluctant. And now I see, and I observe it in the beginning of the year, which makes me really happy, that even huge banking corporations, like for example, Morgan Stanley, announced even in the beginning of the year that yes, this is definitely one of the ways to go. So there are no excuses anymore, okay? And remote work is the new norm, in case you haven't really noticed that yet, but I'm sure you did. So now we're going to talk a bit about how to prepare your CV, because you see a CV is a piece of paper that can convince somebody to work with you or can discourage somebody to hire you or even consider you. I am always against hiring people this way and judging them by a piece of paper. There is a company, Toggle, Toggl. You can check it out. It's a really interesting approach towards hiring. On their career website, they say we don't hire people for a piece of paper. Okay, we are not really that good in resumes, which is the reason why we have questions for you and we have a case study to meet you to get to know who you are and what your skills are, how you can contribute to our company. And that's a great approach towards an innovative recruitment process. But that's not the case everywhere, which is the reason why you still have to be ready with your CV. Okay. You have to be proactive. So, the first thing is I have some components for you. I listed 6. I am not going to write a CV for you, but if you have questions, you can always reach out to me or follow my profile, and I keep sharing hints about this constantly. But here are a few things that you should definitely consider, especially stressing the fact that remote is about skills and about the person, okay? And not really about some kind of path that you may be following just because it's always been that way. So you have to think out of the box. The first thing, so number 1, is going to be start with the why and who you are. I would really love to meet you. I would like to know who you are, okay? What are you looking for? If you don't know what you are exactly looking for, and you may not know this if you're a student, if you're a graduate, even if you're in the middle of your career development, professional development, you may be on the curve thinking, I don't really know which direction to go. But that's already great. If you are sure of what you don't want, that's already a really good start. So think what your why is. Why are you willing to change something? Okay. What is the direction that you want to do? Why is that potential employer somebody that you may be applying for? Okay. So, and who are you? Okay. What are you good at? Not only what your name is, what your first and last name is, where you were born. Don't write things like this. I want to know something about you, about your life, about your professional approach, what you can do, something characteristic. Imagine that you have to sell yourself. I know that sounds weird, but imagine you have to sell yourself in 2 minutes. Okay. So if you come meet me, my question would be, okay, who are you? Why should I hire you? And you just have a few sentences to tell me. Well, write it here, okay? Write it in the beginning of your CV, of your resume, so that when recruiters get tons of resumes, they look at it in the very beginning and they say, hey, that was kind of interesting. That stands out. Think about something like this. So the second thing is start with your most recent experience. Why is it important? Because if you don't have much experience, then that's okay. The most recent one may be your only one. That's okay. But if you've done many things in the past, I'm particularly interested in how you've developed, how you've grown. So I would love to see where you are and then go down to see from which area you evolved, so to say, not the other way around. So I sometimes get these CVs, and I have to share this with you, that people write, for example, what they did um, 5 jobs before the one that they do right now, starting even with being a shop assistant, but today they're, for example, a digital marketing expert. So, well, is it really necessary? It can be necessary to show your progress, but the other way around, please. Okay. So, remember that. That's going to be really, really important. Also, when you want to list your education, I also highly recommend you that you start with your experience or you start with your skill. Again, I know that many students here are watching us and many graduates as well, because I checked the list of attendees. And you may say, but Nadia, what happens if I don't have any experience? Well, if you don't have any experience, I'm sure you've done something in life. Okay. So even if you contributed maybe to some kind of activity at university, some kind of group, something that you are particularly interested in, okay, list it here. List your achievements, what you've done. Maybe you prepared a presentation. Maybe you participated in an event. Maybe you co organized something. Okay. Maybe you helped to develop something, then write it here. That's going to be your experience. Nobody tells you that you're applying for a senior position or a head of a huge corporation. Everybody has to start with something. So think about your hands-on experience, something that you could offer to your new employer. And then the third thing is outline your skills. What can you do? So let me give you an example. Share your most recent experience, okay? And somebody can say, okay, so I was a coordinator. But to me, it doesn't really say much. What does it mean that you are a coordinator? Outline your skills. What can you do? I keep telling you, and I will stress this once again, that remote work is really about the skill. Okay. So list your skills. What is your skill? What can you do? Maybe you are great in terms of writing. Maybe you're great in terms of preparing some presentations, preparing some projects. Maybe you have a great language skill. Maybe you have a great people skill. Now, maybe you are super diligent and you have achieved this and that during your work. Okay. Think about it. So imagine all the things that you've been doing. Okay. What you actually delivered and listed so that somebody can look at it and say, hey, I need somebody to do this and this for me with this particular job. Oh, well, they have it. They have this and this and this and this. Oh, that's really cool. If you are a bit more advanced in terms of your skills, in terms of your professional experience, then you can also list your achievements. When you, for example, worked and you coordinated, for example, an event, okay? You may say you co-organized an event, but you may also say, thanks to me, okay, thanks to my engagement, we had over 2,000 people at this event. So, what you actually achieved. If you have some achievements, then list them as well, because that will help a potential recruiter, talent acquisition specialist, or whoever it is to get to know you. The fourth thing is, which is specifically important for remote, is building your online profile in social media, please. The first thing that we want to know, and I believe that I'm speaking for many remote companies here, is to find out who you are, okay? And it's not about posting pictures on Facebook about your most recent party that you've attended. No, please don't do that. And a hint for you, in terms of Facebook, please, for goodness sake, and I have to be very frank here, if you have your friends and close friends on Facebook and you share all your personal things, then when you go to the settings, you can actually make sure who sees what, okay? So you can choose the group of close friends that you, for example, party with, and that's fine because it's just you and your community, but don't expose everything because this is just not professional, okay? So you can play around with it, okay? You can use Facebook different ways. You can select pictures, you can select events that you've attended so that everybody sees them, but you can also hide some, okay? So please make sure you do that, because I have to tell you that for fun, I researched that quite a lot, okay? And it's not that I would dismiss somebody, I wouldn't, based on their personal things that they do in life, okay, or where they travel or how they party. No, I wouldn't do that. But on the other hand, is it really necessary? Is it really professional? What are you willing to achieve with this? Ask yourself. So that's about Facebook. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about your online profile, social media. you may use LinkedIn. You may think about LinkedIn, and I'll tell you why. Because really, the majority of headhunters use LinkedIn as well. So if you build your LinkedIn profile the same way that you prepare your CV that we're talking about right now, the more skills you include, the more achievements you include, the more institutions you've worked with or companies you've worked with, if you have some experience you include, the easier it will be for somebody to find you, because everything you list is a keyword. Okay, and when a headhunter looks for you, then they look for keywords. So the more you have, the richer your profile is, the higher the possibility that somebody will come across your profile and will be interested to talk with you. Moreover, we even have LinkedIn posting with different job opportunities. And when you click on them, LinkedIn shows you exactly how your match is, how much you match this certain job description, this certain opportunity. This may be a bit tricky because it may be based only on keywords that you have. But my advice, build your online profile, because if it's not there, then you may want to find a remote job, you may want to change the world, but there is one problem: the world doesn't know about you. Okay, so that's really important. That's the first thing. So you have to start with this and engage in discussions. Please engage in discussions. There are tons of different groups, even on LinkedIn, even on Facebook, even on Twitter. You can ask questions. Maybe you have something particular to say. So think about it now. When you have your skills, okay, that you already know, we've listed them in point 3 a second ago, then maybe you can write about them. Maybe you can have a portfolio. Maybe you can have something that you can attach. Maybe you can say, hey, I've written this amazing article because I think that this and this matter is interesting. There is a great source that you can use to also build your online profile, which is called Medium, medium.com. Medium.com is really interesting because you can be an author of pretty much everything you want. You create your profile for free. You can start writing articles. You can get inspired by other people, by different topics that you're interested in. And you can also write about yourself. So your achievements, your opinions about a certain situation. If you like writing, that's amazing. So you can even describe something that you organized as well. Maybe that's going to help a potential employer to find you and also get to know what you did and maybe also inspire others. So different means wherever you are, okay? Even if it's Instagram, if you want to, you can do that. Anything, okay? I know I listed LinkedIn and I said Facebook. That's fine. Those are the 2 major ones for today. But I also mentioned, obviously, Instagram, Twitter, Medium, anywhere you can, okay? You can pretty much do this, okay, in different ways. But you have to do your research. I'm not going to give you solutions that you can apply just like that, because it's you to do your job if you're motivated enough to find a remote position, okay? So, number 5, and that's also really important, my hint for you: focus on the area you are applying for. We need logic, okay? What does it mean with logic? I came across somebody who applied for a digital marketing position, and that happened 2 weeks ago. I took a look at his resume and I thought, what are you really doing here? Why did you apply? I see from your experience that you are at the same time a team leader for a production company in the Netherlands. At the same time, you say that you do digital marketing and you work with several clients. At the same time, you graduated from astronomy last year, astronomy, okay? And I looked at all this and I thought, so what is going on? And then they write in the description that I am an expert in digital marketing, super successful. And then I think, okay, so if you're so successful in digital marketing, then why are you a team leader at the same time working for a production company in the Netherlands? Because there is something I don't understand. And there were like so many different things attached in it, to this extent that this person, I'm sharing many stories, that this person that I talked to, for example, listed that when they were in high school, then they participated in Romeo and Juliet. And I thought, okay, so what does it have to say in terms of digital marketing? Should I hire you because of this right now? So think about the logic. Imagine that you are on the other side. Imagine that you are the employer and look at it, okay? What is really important? Don't make it chaotic. If you want to show that you did different things, that's amazing. I have to tell you, I also work with a remote company today, and they told me, Nadia, look for people who did different things in life, because that shows that they have a really broad perspective and they just don't do one thing and focus on one thing. But we need people who think out of the box. The more experience they have, the better. And that's an amazing approach. But again, think about it, whether there's logic in it. Okay. You may say, I changed my job, I changed my profession, but express it and show it in a really logical way. You don't necessarily have to show that you prepared Romeo and Juliet in high school, okay? If you're willing to, for example, um, work in a completely different field, okay? Does it add value? What you list, think about it. Does it express you? And does it add value to what you want to offer, okay? So no chaos, please, because I am a person who looks, I try not to judge a person by a piece of paper, but you have to know that the majority of recruiters, headhunters, talent acquisition people, they really want to see the certain skill that they're looking for or the certain experience. So the more you have, please remember about logic, a logical sense, a logical flow, or really focus on the position that you're applying for to outline exactly what you can do. And the next thing is you may want to include a link. Today, it's great to do an interactive resume, for example, an interactive CV where you have references. Another great thing is if you build your LinkedIn profile, okay, down below in your LinkedIn profile, you have something that is called recommendations. You can recommend somebody, okay? You can recommend a professor. You can recommend a teacher that you had. You can recommend your classmate about a project, what you did together, and they can do the same thing towards you. And it's great in your resume, for example, if you indicate, if you place a link, hey, here you can say, see what others say about me, about my work, about what I've done. And that adds credibility because the people really exist. Do you have a portfolio or other materials? That's also really important. If it's online, if it's in your profile, then add links as well. And that's how we will get to know you. We will know who you are. About the opportunities, I promised you that I would tell you where to look for remote work, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But as I said before, I am going to share hints with you. I am not going to tell you, go here and click this button. I'm not going to do that. That's your job. Plus, I don't know you. You're from different areas, so you have to do your research on your own. So what do we have? The first thing is remote job boards. So now let me tell you your manual. You Google remote job boards, and you know what's going to happen? About 15 or 20 pop up. Okay. So that's how you find them. Strictly only remote companies, only remote positions. Local job boards, because of the fact that we are in the middle of the COVID pandemic, as everybody knows, okay, even local companies hire remotely. So they're not going to be listed on remote job boards, but they may be listed on local job boards where remote was never the case in the past, but now it is. Social media, everywhere, social media, literally every means of social media. Companies keep publishing like crazy and also doing advertised campaigns all the time. And let me tell you one thing, the fact that you may say that right now we are in the middle of a pandemic and companies are downsizing, yes, there are downsizing, but I can absolutely assure you that many companies, especially when we talk about digital collaboration, are hiring extensively and more than they did before. Okay. So the pandemic is not an excuse for you. It's not, on the contrary, in terms of remote work. So social media, referrals and online job fairs. There are many online job fairs. You can find them again when you Google. Okay. Well, the University of Nicosia Career Success Center, okay, they keep publishing and I follow them a lot, yes, and they keep publishing. Yes, Maria, that's you indeed. I see that a lot. There is really a lot of very valuable content. So from every angle, pretty much. If you follow, you will be able to get inspired and see what possibilities are out there. Local companies I've seen companies, remote companies, I've seen ideas, I've seen inspirations as well. We have somebody in Q&A. Is it recommended to put all your contracts on resume? Because if there are 3-month contracts for say 2 years, the list of experience becomes long. So should we list all of your contracts? You can list all of your contracts, but again, for example, if you work as a freelancer, okay, and you did different things, then you can just list the things that you did, saying, I worked as a contractor, for example, in this and this field. Here is a list of the things I've done. And you can include a link, for example, to your profile, not to make your resume 15, 20 pages long if there really was a lot. But start with the most important ones, the ones that are, in your opinion, the best ones, okay? And you really want to share them. And towards the rest, you can also include the link. So focus on the achievements and on the skills and not on the certain thing itself. So choose the ones that are best and you include a link to the rest. That's really recommended. So follow remote work advocates as well. Yeah, for example, you can follow me, but not only me, okay? But there are many other remote work advocates, right? Because they will share many inspiring stories with you and companies that hire remotely, everything all together pretty much. We also have Upwork and not only Upwork, okay? You see two listed in the right-hand corner. If you register, there is a lot, honestly. And many will say, okay, but there are possibilities for $5 an hour or possibilities for $2 an hour. Yes, that's true. But there are also possibilities and opportunities for $200 an hour. And I will tell you for sure, that's the way it is. So when you start as a freelancer with these two portals, and particularly on Upwork, then I can tell you that you have to start with something to start getting positive testimonials. Once you sign up, you see practically every minute there are different opportunities being posted constantly. You can apply for each and every single one. You build your profile, you list everything that you do, like we did before with your resume, with your CV that we just discussed a couple of minutes ago. You do the same thing here and you keep clicking. And please don't click twice and say, they didn't respond to me, I'm not good enough. No, you have to click 55 times, okay? When you click 55 times, I can assure you that you're going to get a few responses, okay? So everything starts small. Remember, you can start with a small gig, but you can get a great recommendation. The more you build your profile, the more you build your presence, the better opportunities will come up to you. But you have to start with something and you have to be very patient. The next thing is career websites. Once you identify the companies that hire remotely or the companies that you like, you can do your excuse me, research, check out their career websites. There is a lot listed, really. So don't just Google one and say, oh, there is nothing in there, but prepare yourself. Create a list of all the companies that you're interested in. You can even submit an open application, okay? But again, approach it strategically, create a list first. We have another Q&A. Oh no, that's the same. Sorry. Okay. So moving on. In order to sum up, if you have questions, feel free to reach out with the Q&A section. I can see that pops up immediately. So what is the right approach? To sum up, the right approach in a nutshell, as I told you in the very beginning, is don't give up. Okay. The right approach starts with, you may not know your career path today. You may not know which direction to go, but at least you know what you like doing. And for sure you have some skills, even the most basic ones. Those are really skills, you know. Even sometimes when somebody tells me, I don't really know what I could do, I say, but I'm really diligent. I say, well, maybe you could be an amazing digital assistant, okay? Remote assistant. Maybe you could be, yes? Maybe you can organize things very well. So maybe you can help somebody to organize their social media and, for example, help them publish posts on time. It's just the beginning. I'm just talking about very basic things, but that's always the beginning. So make sure you know your skills and how you can add value, okay? Why should I, being on the other side, take a look at you and even consider you? What can you give me? What can you offer? It's supposed to be a win-win solution. I need something from you, but you need something from me because you want a job. Okay. So that's why we have to meet in between. Think about it. Don't just, and you know what, I know that it's a bit controversial what I'm going to say, but believe me, I work with remote companies and I help them with the recruitment processes. So I prepare the whole strategy, where to look for people, which groups, which social media, where, how to evaluate, how to test. So I am the one who tells them put this position here and there and this and that. And that's the reason why I deal with many, many applications every day. And you know what I absolutely don't understand? I know that people may be desperate when they're looking for a job, but they send their resume, their CV everywhere for every position. And I see this a lot. So sometimes I get over 100 a night, but over 70 sometimes are completely irrelevant because I say I'm looking for somebody, for example, for a finance intern, but I get somebody who has absolutely no idea and doesn't even want to work in finance and lists on the top of his resume that he's looking for something else. So please make sure that it's not going to be this way that you just keep sending and bombarding the whole world all around you, and maybe it clicks. You have to know what your aim is, what you're looking for, what your skill is. It saves time for both sides, okay? And trust me, if you send your CV to over 100 or 200, 300 different vacancies just because they're there without thinking, if you limit yourself to 30, 40, 50, but it's really well thought, you take a look at the company, you see what there is, you see what they need. It's really important that you do this research. Look at a particular job posting and think about it. Okay, that's the job posting and that's what I can do towards it. Stress it in your CV so that when somebody looks from talent acquisition or recruitment, they see it and they say, hey, oh, that's exactly what I had in mind. Okay, it doesn't always work, but it definitely increases your chances. The second thing is, imagine you're on the other side. Why should someone hire you? Imagine that you had many applicants. Why is it you that they should hire? What is special about you? What is unique about you? How can you contribute to this certain success together? Maybe you want to do some more deeper research. For example, you can check out the company or you can check out the contractor who's, for example, posting on Upwork, and you can see, hey, they did this and this in the past. That's something that I like. I am actually going to list it in my CV as well because that's really interesting that I can do this, I can do this, I can do that as well because I've seen that that's their approach. So that shows that you're really interested in the position. The next thing is find the right match. So again, find the right match for you. I've seen people apply for full-time positions, and then when I call them, they tell me that they study full-time. So why do you apply for a full-time position? Please, it's not like maybe it's going to work. Think about it. If you want to be a freelancer, that's fine. There are many opportunities. Please register to these two portals that I just shared with you 10 minutes ago. You will see for yourself that there are millions of opportunities, okay? And obviously check out the Career Success Center primarily. That's your first homework, okay? So freelancing, part-time, full-time, think about it. What's your match? If you are not ready for full-time right now, that's fine, okay? Do part-time, do freelancing, but at least let's be honest, okay? You have to know how much time you have and for what. And the last and fourth one, and I think that the most important one is, don't give up. It takes time for great things to happen, and keep learning in the meantime. And I will share another story with you. I will share a story with an applicant that I had a few years ago who told me that he wanted to work for a corporation that was a partially remote position at that time. He knew German, but his knowledge was kind of medium, nothing super special, and he knew English very well. And he applied to be a German language customer service consultant. He went to the second round and he was rejected. And he told me, Nadia, they didn't want me. And I said, why they didn't want you? Yeah, they didn't want me. They rejected me. And I said, no, no, no. It's not like they didn't want you. but the skills that you had were insufficient. Okay. So my question is, are you ready to apply next year? No. So I said, okay, so what can you do? If this is really your dream job, if that's really what you want to do, then keep learning in the meantime. Okay. If you really want to work there, then know that, okay, maybe in the meantime, you're going to only work with English, but you're going to work on your German skills as well, improve them. And then when you're ready, you'll apply again. And the possibility that they will hire you is very high because you didn't have the skill, you can work on it. And another thing is that you really have to keep trying. And one of the things that I can recommend you, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect different results are not going to happen. So if you do the first round and you apply and things go wrong and you can't get in or you keep being rejected, then that's your learning process. Okay, then think about it. What can you change? Maybe what you have done wrong, maybe it wasn't the right timing, maybe it wasn't the right company that you were applying for, maybe it wasn't the right gig. How can you improve? And also look at others, look at other people, look at people who are similar to you and maybe work in those companies, do these gigs. What do they have that you don't have? That's how you can keep constantly improving. And eventually, if you don't give up, because the most important thing is persistence, then I promise you, you're going to get there. If you have any questions to me, you can find me on all the social media that I've mentioned before.